Hello, everyone. How are you? How's it going? Can you hear me? Everything good? I have to check. How's it going? How's it going? Who's here first? DT Girls here first. Hello. How are you? Hi, Tracy Wu is saying lemongrass ginger soup for everyone. Simmering now? Oh my. That sounds so good. Tracy, don't tease us. DeMoney Honey, hello. Thank you for joining. And Molly Moose, how are you? I know you guys say teaching class. I feel like I'm teaching myself too. Okay, Molly, because sometimes this stuff has to leave my research, whatever I write a lot, and then speaking it and then interacting with you all, even though it's online, it helps me to learn it. Okay. It's so weird, but that's how things like that. We all have our different learning styles, right? Just let me know. Can you hear me first? Is everything good? You guys that do the 5x5, like, can you hear me? Can you hear me? I hope you can, because I want to jump into this. I have my mud boots on, everyone. Yes, 5x5. Yes, okay. So I will jump in and I will, lost an earring. I'm already having a technical, while I'm doing my setting up, because I do my own hair, makeup, I do my own wardrobe. You know, when you do your own production, that's how it goes. So today's broadcast will be brought to you by Celie Steel Structures. Contact us if you are looking for a steel structure. Hello in Texas, Thomas. Thanks for joining. Okay, so I will greet you individually. Like I'll look at the chatmosphere, but I want to jump right in, okay? Because I have all this stuff to share. I don't want it to be too long, okay? All right, but I hope everyone's doing well. Let me make my slides bigger so you can see better. Oh, did anybody know you could do that? That's new. Old. Do you all like this one? I like this. My first time trying this. All righty. Looky. Okay, so, with me in my notes, I will begin. So today, this one's going to be a doozy, another doozy. I keep finding these connections. Tell me if I need to put my computer down for a little while. Do I need a vacation? Let me know what you think. So I named this Daddy. Daddy issues we're going to talk about from the whole mud flood perspective. Can you just imagine already? I have a Russian bot already. Let me get the Russian bot and I will resume. Okay. All right. So this here is something else. Okay. So let's just ease into it, which would be the best way to do it. We're talking about how the mud flood, Tartary, architecture, deep dive, research journey changes your perspective. It's like putting the mud in your eyes. Wait a minute, did I just get a revelation, everyone? Let me know. Remember, wasn't that a part of healing? We all know that you can go to spas and get in the mud and clean yourself. But isn't there something in the Bible? One of the healings of the blind person was that the mud was put in their eyes. Oh my goodness. If this is true, can somebody verify that is a thing, Sharon? Sharon, am I reading it right? Am I remember? He healed Norleen. He healed a blind man with mud. Oh, okay. This is a whole revelation that I'm getting at this moment. Okay. So that's what I was joking around and saying, it's like the mud cleared up my vision. Okay. So, oh, wow. We just see that Yes, it gets deeper. Okay, that sometimes happens, right? We get the moment and it happens right at that moment. Look at that. Okay. All right, so wow, I'm pretty excited about that. So we're talking about Solomon. And Solomon being a central figure because the mud floods have led a lot of people, including myself, to have an interest in reading the book of Enoch. So it's not just happening to one person. This is happening to many people. They end up wanting to read the book of Enoch. So being that that's the case, and also to sort out King Solomon and these timelines, because it's very exciting, the things that start to connect. So that's why I'm focused on Solomon and his sons, and he being a son of David. It's very connecty. I don't know. So the temple, that's all we hear about, right? So I grew up in Christianity, and I grew up learning about the temple like many of you have. And now when you listen to different schools of thought, you wonder about this temple. Okay. So like I told you all, some people have sacred cows. Some people have subjects that they will not question. And I used to be that way, but right now everything is on the table to be reevaluated, especially when it comes to historical narratives. And that's due to the mud being placed in my eyes, and my eyesight, I believe, has been cleared up. My blindness for this stuff that's right there, tangible. Okay, this is stone. This is like rocks and stones that are tangible. You can go and touch them. So that's why this is so much more grounded. Okay, and I love all the airy fairy. I love all that esoteric stuff. I love both of these things. I know for people that tend to be more grounded, that stuff probably annoys them to no end. But I find myself sort of in the midpoint between, I love this tangible, like even hard sciences, but then I love the lofty, you know what I'm saying, spiritual, all that kind of stuff. Hello. How are you, Marlon? Thank you for dropping by. Hope you enjoy the show. So the Temple of Solomon, let's just recap. And if you want to drop things in the chatmosphere, please too. Do that. Thank you. Okay, so the temple that Solomon was to build for God, it was supposed to be done by his father David. But his father David, this is like a melodrama, just the stuff that we heard of. This is, you talk about film noir. I mean, okay, so David, the father, has all of these sons because he has all these women. And, I know a lot of guys started talking about this. They want to be polygamous. And they were talking about this being the answer for a lot of society's problems. And, the thing is that if one woman gets on your nerves, and it's a hard enough time trying to manage one woman, why would a man want as many women as David had, concubines and wives and all of these things? It seems like a headache and a recipe for a lot of drama, family drama that will come from it, right? Do you see? So David being no different, because people think just because their lives are represented in the Bible that they were perfect people. We have to stop thinking this way. These are real people with mud feet, clay feet, okay, that dealt with the issues of life and the consequences of their behaviors, okay? And that's what I like, is that just because, oh, God anointed someone as a leader, a king, doesn't mean that consequences stop for them. Okay. So we got to see with David, he set it up so his own Uriah, one of his, loyal men, he put him in the front of the front line of a war, knowing that he would be killed. Like, this was a plot, a scheme. He would be killed because he wanted the man's wife. So he marries this woman after he set it up where her husband's killed, and they have a lot of miscarriages. They lose one baby, and it was a real sad thing. And the prophet Nathan told the woman Bathsheba, who some people say this is the Queen of Sheba. Bathsheba, do you believe that Bathsheba is the Queen of Sheba? Tell me what you think, because it makes sense, right? I don't know if you had already made that connection just because they called her Bathsheba. I don't know. Just let me know if you believe that Bathsheba is the same Queen of Sheba. Let me know. So anyway, so they lose the first baby that, they give us the narrative about. And then the second, they have Solomon. So God is going to allow Solomon to build his temple. Okay. So that's where we're going to pick up in terms of this family drama. Okay. And let me know, fill in anything that you want there. Okay. So the son is now going to, take on this massive building project. What I find interesting about talking about building projects is that's what the mud flood is all about. The mud flood, rabbit hole, the Tartarian, it's all about architecture and technology and things like that. So, and what the architecture is used for. So that's what's so powerful about these connections is you think of Solomon being a builder, and you think of the connections that he has, construction, architects, materials, all of that. He's taking on the biggest project ever, and he has more money than he knows what to do with. So money is no object. So he's going to get the best people to help in this building project. Okay. Hire people from afar, bring them in. I mean, this is a big deal. So you can only just imagine what that might look like today. So Solomon is also a central figure in secret lodges and what we're calling the stonemason lodges, as well as you could call them guilds, fraternities. And we can look at how these things have developed and why is this, particular system, you could call it a religion, has these central figures that we have in our biblical narrative. Okay. So here we are. We're talking about Solomon's temple, and we want to put a pin in that word temple. So, when we try to get some sort of logical explanation as to how people built these structures, especially when we see the 19th century always being said that these really major projects happen. I'm not talking about Solomon's temple, but I'm saying a lot of the Tartarian infrastructure, we see the 1800s. And the thing is that we don't doubt that people are amazing, but we want to know what type of technology, right? Don't you? All of us are asking, just show us the receipts, show us the technology that was around that allowed these people to build these amazing structures. So, we'll see different things like paintings and drawings and things like that that make it look like they are building. But you can look at the average height of the people, look at the way they're dressed. I mean, they don't look like they're dressed to do hard labor in the sun. And I don't know, you just let me know what you're thinking. And you see this kind of, I don't know, this very heavy cart. We know you need animals to pull it, because we're told they didn't have other sources of energy for mobilization. And these are big stones. So we think about how they carved a lot of the beautiful, carvings and things like that. Where is the technology? So that's the thing that is never answered. So this would be a picture of what Solomon's first temple would have looked like. And it's what we've seen a lot of, growing up in Christianity and other religions that would talk about Solomon and some of, the earlier Bible figures. We've seen a rendering of what the temple would have looked like. So this is artwork. I showed that before. Remember, we had like good laughs off of this. Would be a depiction of the Queen of Sheba and Solomon as they are meeting. So that is, now I wanted to share this. I came across this when I was doing some research, and if you can see it, I don't think I could make it any bigger. But I want you to kind of hone in. Let me take myself off the screen. Hone in and look at all of these. It says that these are all the ethnicities. People want to play around with race. Race is a new construct, everyone. The old world, they did not get caught up on race. This is remember, we just looked back at the 1800s where the dude, at the what was it, Edinburgh University, he was the one that came up with like race. And then you think about Charles Darwin and all of these kind of people. So race is a very new social construct. But I want you to look at, let me take myself off, like I said, so you can read this. And these are all of the, can you imagine, just try to think of, I don't know if this would be correct, but I just think of people being so mixed, and there's no like huge, like this, I don't know. I just see people as being so not homogenous, but there were variations, but it wasn't a big deal. People didn't harp on it like they do now. Do you see what I'm saying? So let me read some of them. It says all the ethnicities. So it's Persian, Median, Elamite, Parthian, Aryan, Bactrian, Sogdian, Koresmian, Zeragian, Aracosian, Satagidian, I'm probably saying them wrong, of course, Gandharan, Hindush, Saka, another spelling of it, Babylonian, Assyrian, Arab, Egypt, Armenian, Cappadocian, Lydian, Ionian. It's another overseas Saka, Scudraan, Ionian, says with a white hat, with shield hat, sorry, and Libyan and Ethiopian. So I found that to be interesting. Okay, something to share. Okay. And this would have been another, just rendering of temples. This is old architecture. So I always want to, include it for us to look at and just it's a reminder. And what I'm coming up with is, I'm seeing daddy issues as being a central theme to these building projects. And we can look at how I didn't expect this to happen, but things are connecting where I was talking about the movie Metropolis and how that was written. And it deals with a father and son. It deals with Babylon, the Tower of Babel or Babel. So this continues to be a central theme to a lot of the stuff that I'm coming up with. And it's amazing to me. So I think about the television show Empire, and you have the father, and he is, I could just see him being one of these fathers that would be typical of someone who's building an empire, who is building the Tower of Babel. You see what I'm saying? And then you have sons. And if you have many wives, then you have sons from those wives. And then you start having drama. And then what do you have next? The sons are hunting the father because they want to replace the father. So they're willing to kill the father. They will take the father's wife. These are things that we have seen in the Bible, have we not? And so this is why these stories are just they're just redone. And I see, wow, so this is a central theme, is the father and the building of an empire and being a builder. You know, so this is really deep. I'm just amazed. So I think about, okay, of course, the ultimate would be Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. So we'll get to that in a minute. So does anybody know who Hiram Abiff is? Anybody? Can they drop it down in the chatmosphere? If you know who Hiram Abiff is, let me know. And I'm gonna kick his wiki, Hiram Abiff's. But I just want to see if anybody knows where his name is mentioned. Why is hello, Juan? Thank you for dropping by. Hey there. You see, I have a new window thingy. I'm trying it out. I actually stumbled upon it. I didn't know they had this. Johnny Borealis, Mason. That's where you would know about Hiram Abiff. Yes, so you all know. Julianne says, same old story through time. Thank you very much. Yes. So let's break down using their wiki and see what they say about Hiram Abiff. Okay. So Hiram Abiff is the central character of an allegory presented to all candidates during the third degree in Freemasonry. Hiram is presented as the chief architect of King Solomon's temple. He is murdered inside this temple by 3 ruffians. After they failed to obtain from him the master mason's secret passwords, the themes of the allegory are the importance of fidelity and the certainty of death. The Masonic legend of Hiram Abiff, the tale of Hiram Abiff as passed down in Masonic lodges, underpins the third degree. It starts with his arrival in Jerusalem and his appointment by Solomon as chief architect and master of works at the construction of his temple. As the temple is nearing completion, 3 fellow craft masons from the workforce ambush him as he leaves the building, demanding the secrets of the master mason. Hiram is challenged by each in turn, and at each refusal to divulge the information, his assailant strikes him with a mason's tool. Differing between jurisdictions. He is injured by the first two assailants and struck dead by the last. His murderers hide his body under a pile of rubble, returning at night to move the body outside the city, where they bury it in a shallow grave marked with a sprig of acacia. And if you want to know what acacia is, let me hit the little hyperlink. Acacia, commonly known as the wattles or acacias, is a large genus of shrubs and trees in the subfamily Mimosaceae of the pea family. Initially, it comprised a group of plant species native to Africa and Australasia. All right, so that's acacia, for anybody wondering. Okay, so let me finish. Okay, so they put a sprig of the acacia to mark his grave so they knew where to go back. Okay, let me pick back up. As the master is missed the next day, Solomon sends out a group of fellow craft masons to search for him. The loose acacia is accidentally discovered and the body exhumed to be given a decent burial. The hiding place of the three ruffians is also discovered, and they are brought to justice. Solomon informs his workforce that the secret word of a master mason is now lost. He replaces it with a substitute word. This word is considered a secret by Masons, but for hundreds of years, various revelations of the word have been made, usually all differing from each other. Each such revelation is mekbenak, or decay apparently, based on gestures given and words spoken upon the discovery of Hirum's body. Such is the general legend as related to the Anglo-American jurisdictions. In continental Freemasonry, the tale is slightly different. A large number of master masons, not just Hiram, are working on the temple, and the three ruffians are seeking the passwords and signs that will give them a higher wage. The result is the same, but this time it is master masons who find the body. The secrets are not lost, but Solomon orders them buried under the temple, inscribed on Hiram's grave. And the same substitution is made as a mark of respect. The secrets lost in the other tradition are here given to new master masons as part of their ritual. In this version, Hiram is often renamed Adonai Ram. Okay, so that is the whole thing. Well, not the whole thing, but that is giving you an idea of Hiram Abiff if you've not heard of him. So I was just doing some research because I've heard the name, but I never looked into it. Okay, so let me advance on. So I wanted you to see that these are tombs. These are tombs that they built back in these days, that even the tombs are amazing feats of architecture. So I just wanted to just show that these are the tombs. And when you look up ruffians, because I know that name, I know I've heard that used by older people. They'll say ruffians, but I looked it up and all you see are these horses. It's apparently the name of a type of horse. So, I just thought that was a little odd, but I just wanted you to see this is considered a ruffian horse. And just to show you, a scene from the show Empire. So you see this father who heads up this empire, Lucius. So you think of Lucius, you break down that name, and that means light, very similar to Lucifer. Then you have lions. So you think of lion, and we've been seeing a lot of lions in the imagery. So that you could just see, if you look at these sons, you just wonder which one is loyal, which one is going to be the one that's plotting against his father. Sorry if you hear Josephine. She's okay. She's just acting a little cuckoo. So this was an interesting piece of art I came across, and it's titled Hiram Abiff, but it's a more urban version of it, which I find deep, because when you think about the urban centers of America, I'll say, that's where you have the most murder of Black men happening in cities like Chicago. And, you know, they always give the crime statistics, and because they have programmed us so much, we come to expect that in the urban settings, that's where you have Black on Black crime, which is through the roof. But the interesting thing about a discussion of Black on Black crime, you're not supposed to bring it up. Have you noticed that? If you bring up Black on Black crime and you're a Black person, that's when you get called the names. Remember, I went through the laundry list of names that other Black people will call anybody who questions all of the murder going on in the cities. They'll call you an Uncle Tom. You know the names: Uncle Tom, a coon, a bedwench, a mammy, a race trader, all kinds of things, okay? So this is the craziness of how evil, when it's allowed to go full blossom, it begins to crumble on itself. It's not stable architecture, we could say. So it begins to fall. It's like a Potemkin village, right? So it can't stand up. So basically, that's what's happening. All the narratives are becoming so ridiculous that now they are the stuff that jokes are made of. So I wanted to just show that, you know, all throughout the world, the world realm, as we say, has this type of architecture that you would see going all through like Babylon and, you know, Ethiopia, through all the areas, you know. This is the kind of rounded stone buildings, and it's absolutely beautiful. A lot of temples are done in this style. So again, people, I'm going to keep asking this question. Where is the technology from these periods that would show us that people had the ability to build things like this? Because the natural question then, a follow-up question, is why don't they build things like this today? Like, okay, say you had enough money to build anything that you wanted, and you don't want to build a glass and steel modern architectural building. You want to build something like this, okay? Does anybody here know about construction? Can you tell me, if money was no object and you were going to start a building project like this, would you be able to find the craftsmen and the materials and everything to actually build this today? And we're supposed to be so advanced. So thank you, Norlene. That's exactly, it costs too much. That's one of the things my father would always tell me, because old buildings are nothing new for a lot of us. We grew up in cities where this stuff is everywhere. I've always loved older buildings. Like when I had a chance to move into one of my first apartments, I lived in an old stone building in Philadelphia that had crickety, wood floors and these massively, huge, ceilings. And it was a bargain because most people want to live in new things, but I wanted to live in this older building. So I've always loved older buildings. So again, a lot of you feel the same way. You love older buildings. So when I would talk to my dad about things, because he knows about building, so when I would ask him about, what if I wanted to build a house that looked like that today? He's like, you could never do it. You could never, it costs too much money. That was the main thing he would say. So yes, Juan, I am an old soul, right? And you love old buildings too, Teresita. So why don't they build these things today since we love them? So PH Joy is saying, I'll do a cob structure to start. Hey, Faith, you said older buildings are well built and structures more sound. Exactly. You live in an old building? Nice. So that's the thing that you're always told. It costs too much money. But again, and another thing that I'm wondering, where would you get the materials and the craftsmen? Who knows how to do these things today? Do you think we have people right now, if you get the best builders, do you think that they have the ability to do this? I'm just wondering. Just let me know what your opinion is. And see, this is more of that temple. When you think about the temple people, Solomon's temple, the stone masons, they are concerned with temples. That's why I want you to put a pin in the whole temple thing. So this is a really beautiful structure that I love. On the right side, there's, a church in Ethiopia in Aksum, and it's Labalea. Am I saying it right? Who here? Do we have any Ethiopian family in the chat? Because all my Ethiopian friends, they have gone quiet on me, and I'm wondering why they're so quiet. Maybe I can get them to start chatting a little bit. But yes, here you are with more construction that screams Mudflood, right? Old Antiquitech. And this would be an aerial view of the temple that does stand in Jerusalem right now. Does anybody know about that temple? What the name of this is in Israel? Let's see. Most builders are not artisans, right? So then you wonder, okay, I know when they break down the building project, if you were to go by the Bible's narrative, they have every kind of artisan that works in metals and things like that, tapestries and things like that. So it is amazing how some people have cross abilities to work with all of these skills. So today, I don't know where you would possibly learn how to do all of this stuff. So let's see what you're saying. I'm going through, but I'm going to keep moving on to Norlene said the electricity bill on that thing would be exactly. Yeah, just heating it. Because I looked at a lot of old tech, and they had things where they were heating rooms with this high tech stuff, but it looked like antique things, but it would heat effectively a room. One of those big rooms that you would think would be really drafty and uncomfortable. So this is one of the things that causes a lot of offense. And especially, like I told you all, my first round or two with Christianity, I used to be very interested in the end times and studying eschatology, listening to people like Hal Lindsey, and I told you the Vanapes. You probably know some of those names. And I listened to all of those guys that talked about the end times and the building of the third temple. So does anybody know what I'm talking about, the third temple? So I was really interested in that stuff. And they made it sound like it was very imminent that they were going to build the temple. But the only problem is that there is a structure that is on that particular site that they claim they have to put the temple on. You were following that as well, Sean. So what's the deal, Sean, with the temple? Like, where are they with the plan? Because I would have thought by now that they would have had something moving forward. Because if they have to put the temple here, where the Dome of the Rock, the temple is standing for the Islamic world, that would mean that this one would, I don't know, or can someone tell me logistically how you would put a temple in a place where something is already standing like this? That would mean what? Logically, how could you do it? So that's one of the challenges to this particular narrative. And what happens, well, what happened with me, I'll just say that I feel like I was programmed to be very offended because of this temple that you're looking at right now. I was programmed to almost like when I would see it, I would hiss, because I feel like the third temple of Solomon must be built there. So now I'm starting to question a lot of things because, narratives and timelines are starting to get a little bit snagged, I'll say. So what did you say, Sean? You followed up with, I've heard recently that they are planning to build it. Okay. Well, I've heard that for years. And I heard that they had to prepare to have a red heifer. They have to have perfect animals that are unblemished. And I heard that they had, come up with these lines of these old cattle that they had back in those days when they did the sacrifices in the temple. So all of these things, and they developed the temple utensils and all of these things. So it's still one of those things that I'm still wondering about. I think they got it wrong. Is that what you mean, Joyce? So it's just, Anna, hi, Anna Marie. They used to heat with radium. Thank you. Thank you. The Bible may be speaking of our bodies as the third temple. I'm glad you all are saying that because, see, that's where a lot of these things are starting to now like really clear up because things are not panning out the way that expectations would have been. So this is an aerial view of the temple that is right now in the place of the old temple. And you can see the walled structure. So now this right here is like a sigil of the Knights Templar. So this is a group that they're really into temples, right? And architecture. And you think about Solomon and the temple, and basically they're really into this stuff. And this would be the Knights Templars. And they're basically, I could be wrong, but it appears that they are a very powerful military arm or branch. They're like, it's like a bunch of military branches that are interested in temples, in architecture, in things of that nature, artifacts. So I'm starting to look at things, like I said, in a different way. It's all making sense now. So these are some of the symbols. When you see these things, like, drop it in, like, what it looks like to you. What do you get when you see something like this? Like, this would be the Knights Templar. It says sigils. So let me talk about the Knights Templar a little bit, for those who don't know a lot about it. So let's just talk about it. So what we saw was the seal or sigil of the Knights Templar, or and the allegiance is the Pope. It is a Catholic military order, okay? Or they call them shock troops. Shock troops. I have to repeat that. And their headquarters is Temple Mount, Jerusalem, Kingdom of Jerusalem, Order of Solomon's Temple, Order of Christ. Okay. And white mantle with a red cross is typical. And their mascot is two knights riding a single horse. So these would be the wars that we've heard over the years of the Crusades, the various Crusades. Okay, so these are the people we're talking about. The poor fellow soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon, also known as the Order of Solomon's Temple or Knights Templar, or simply the Templars, was a Catholic military order founded in 1118 and were headquartered on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. When they went to meet with Pope Honorius II, they were recognized in 1139 by the papal bull Omni Datum Optimum of Pope Innocent II. The Templars became a favored charity throughout Christendom and grew rapidly in membership and power. Templar knights in their distinctive white mantles with a red cross were amongst the most skilled fighting units of the Crusades. They were prominent in Christian finance, non-combatant members of the order, who made up as much as 90% of their members, managed a large economic infrastructure throughout Christendom. They developed innovative financial techniques that were an early form of banking, building its own network of nearly 1,000 commanderies, fortifications across Europe and the Holy Land, and arguably forming the world's first multinational corporation. Does that sound interesting? The first multinational corporation. And this would be some of the other sigils that you would see when you think about the Knights Templars, the ones that are the military of the church. That's what I'm reading, their own information, right? So we're going by their own narrative and we're determining what seems right, what is going on here. What do you think of when you look at these things? Does this stuff sound familiar? Does it look familiar? Does it make you feel a certain way when you see it? Johnny says company logos. That's what strikes me too when I look at it. It gives me the feeling of a company logo. So basically a company logo is nothing more than a sigil. Does anybody know? I know someone said what a sigil is, and I'm glad you all do this. Fill the chatmosphere so people that are new to this, if they want to start researching, they can know what a sigil is. Can somebody drop down there again? What is a sigil? Exactly, Juan. Exactly. That's what you see? Oh, wow. I didn't think about that. Interesting. Can somebody tell us what a sigil is? Sigil. Hey, Golden Crisp, the first foundation created, right? Kind of wild, huh? Pretty crazy. Thank you. All right, here's a sigil. A sigil contains energy, okay? So that's why when you see a bullseye, you wonder, why did I go into this store that has a bullseye, a big red bullseye? I only wanted to buy soap, but I ended up spending $300 on a whole lot of crap that I don't need. It's because you're the target, okay? They told you that they laugh at us because their sigils and their logos and glyphs and all of this stuff have casting spell energy. Yes. Thank you, Jay. So these sigils, you say, are magic symbols that contain energy. Okay, good. That's a Gemini Love. Hi. You said sigils are sometimes used to promote fear. Exactly. Exactly. Hey, Mary. Hey, sigil is a magical, a symbol that holds magical properties. Cece, right? We didn't know that we were the target all the time, right? You thought you went in with your list of the things that you were going to get, and you were going to stick to your list. How many times have you stuck to your list when you go into that store where you are the target? So that's more of the symbolism or the logos of the Templars. These are the people, the builders, okay? Yes, they are wizards and warlocks. Let me tell you, this stuff is very well thought out. If we only knew, we let our guards down so much. So this is a coat of arms for the Knights Templar. So what do you think? You say propaganda. It is an art form, that's for sure. It is a seal. Exactly, spells. Energy sigils, subliminal magic. Hey, Roxanne, a sigil is a type of symbol in modern usage, especially in the context of chaos magic. Sigil refers to a symbolic representation of the practitioner's desired outcome. Thank you for sharing. Juan says he sees handcuffs. Okay. Up another Russian bot. Bye-bye. All right. So, yeah, isn't that a trip? Hey, Dimples. It's wild, isn't it? Hey, Joyce, you said they had us blinded on every hand. I mean, we went in like we were just not on guard, or I know some people put on their full armor, but if we only knew how much we would need it, we're beginning to know. The artist in you likes it. That's okay, Norlene. It's nothing bad. I mean, these are vibrant colors. I love vibrant colors, and I love all of this. What did they call it? Heraldry, like anything to do with monarchs and things like that. This one, I don't know. I want to see what you all think when you look at this one. And we're going to hang out a little bit. I think I have few things. Look at me. I'm like a few things to cover. I'll try to make it one video. So what do you see when you think of that? Anything come to mind? Red Baron. Now that's interesting. Wow, I didn't think of that, Juan. It does look like the Red Baron. Hey, Shawnee. I just woke up from the wrong side of 6 o'clock. I'm glad you're here. Welcome. So anybody have anything they want to it seems evil? Yeah, and it seems very warlike. It seems very aggressive. Red, white, and black are satanic colors. Okay. So when we think about, again, the temple that sits on the site where Solomon's third temple is supposed to be, again, this is the Dome of the Rock, and out its official name. Let me get that name. If anybody has it, they can throw it in there before I get to it. Is Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock. Okay. And the builders of the Dome of the Rock are called the Builders, and it's a Sufi sect called Al-Bana, which mean the Builders. It is a fraternity guild. Okay. And this is a little bit of artwork. So I'd like to pull from the artwork as well. This one is depicting, I guess this would be the Queen of Sheba and Solomon, something to do with them. So you can look at the old tech and you see the rounded tower, right? So when you think of towers, it's a lot of connections that we can make. And this was just a picture that came up, like they were trying to, I guess, show this would be what Hiram Abiff would look like. And I'm just looking, this guy looks like he would be in over his head to take on a building project with stones like that. I mean, you just look at the background and you look at the pillars that are in back of him. And I don't see any technology. I don't see the kind of tools that would be used to create this stuff, right, Chris? I mean, what is he going to do, right, with this? What is he doing, right? They just have us, well, not anymore. They had us believing this stuff, and it's an insult to the intelligence at this point. So obvious, right? Look at this right here. Who are the people that built this? And why do we not have people that could build this today? Anybody? Yeah, Mary. That's what they, when you start studying this mud flood stuff, that's what they did all over the world. Basically they hijacked this architecture, and they positioned government things and religious. So basically the popes and their militaries, right? They went their conquests and explorations. They basically took these structures over and put churches in them. Do you think that churches were really meant that? I don't believe that that's what these were meant for initially, churches, temples. So once we find out, I know a lot of you have your theories as to basically what they might have been used for. Hey, Victoria. Wow, the details aren't they amazing? It's all inspiring. We don't have things that are built like this today that could stand the test of time like this, and the beauty. So these are, some reliefs of the Babylonians, which I want to get into more as we, go through these things, and I'll start to make more connections with the Babylonians and other peoples. But I just, wanted to show you just the, level of detail work in the stone. So the stone masons. Now, this is, when you talk about receipts, that is the Babylonian language, which I never paid attention to. But this would be King Darius, and he had a time capsule that I want to talk about. But you could just see that Oh, this is King Cyrus, actually, this one. King Cyrus the Great, and this is cuneiform Babylonian script. And it is proclaiming Cyrus as the legitimate king of Babylon. So can you imagine, like, this is proclaiming him to be king. So this is like receipts on top of receipts. So I just wanted to show you the various letters, or what would you call them? Glyphs. Some people may say glyphs. This is the Babylonian language. So what do you think of when you look at this? Let me know. Because I never paid attention to it. But now, again, I'm paying attention to things I wouldn't have before. So I just want to just show you so we can kind of just look at it. Does it just like say anything? Just drop it in there. You say precision. Donna, you're not late, Donna. You know how we say we're not doing that time stuff, right? Not doing that. Is that what you're thinking of a Masonic symbol when you see it? Golden crisp, screw, and a boomerang. Oh, now that's creative. Tools. I like that, Julie. That's very pronoun. How you doing, Julie? I haven't seen you in a while. Thanks for stopping by. Sharon said boomerangs and golfing. I love it. Torch. Oh, that does look like that. Nail and compass. Wow. 1980s limo antenna. That's funny. I love it. Oh my gosh, that's great. So let's just look at a few others. Look at that. Crazy, huh? What do you think? You saw a protractor. Hey, Dana, this part of history is what is taught to sixth graders in Indiana. Yeah, right? Hi, Ernestina. You're not late. Virtual hug. Thank you for coming by. Juan is letting us know that cuneiform is Sumerian. Thank you. I'm going to get it all straight, Juan. I'm going to work on some stuff, okay? So let me go through a few more of the letters. And then you just see that one. And then this one. And talking about thrones, because that's one of the things that when you think about this world realm and the system that we live in, it's like, you know, these earthly kings and emperors and queens and monarchies, things like, you know, this stuff is just so important to them. And this is the way that they gain authority, or they gained authority by having a throne. And, you know, when you really boil it down, what is a throne? It's a chair. It's a chair, dude, bro. Like, get over yourself. You're sitting on a chair. You got your chair from where? From what? Give me an expensive furniture store. You got your chair from so and so. I got mine from IKEA, and I put mine together. So what? We both sit on it, and it holds our weight. Okay. So basically, people trip over stuff that, at the end of the day, it's so silly. So this is, you know, more of that Babylonian, like, you know, relief carving work. And these men are carrying a throne. And you could just look at all of the detail. I look at their hair. I mean, it's really cool, like these curls. And then they don't have beards, these workers, but a lot of times their beards are really curly, right? You like that, IKEA? We're both sitting, right? It's what are you doing different, right? Right? Lock for Life, what are they doing? It's holding your body up and in a sitting position. right? So it's just so funny how we get caught up, right? Caught up on nothing. And so, oh, if anybody wants to know, this is an acacia tree right here. And I wanted to just talk about some of the things that occurred in the area of art. Okay, so we kind of I'm kicking the wiki again with some of the things that happened in terms of talking about the Queen of Sheba, because this ties in a whole lot. Now, in the picture to the far left, that happens to be an Egyptian king, and I'll pronounce it, I'll try to at least, Sequener Tau II. And they say that he is a prototype for the sort of the thing that happened between Solomon and Sheba, okay? But he had a son that came and took his wife or his woman, something crazy, but basically he died in an identical manner. That's what it is, an identical manner as Hiram Abiff. That's what it is, okay? So this Egyptian king is the prototype, claimed to have died in the same identical manner. This is dismissed by Masonic scholars, by the way. And so the woman in the middle, there was a play. Okay, so there was a play that was set to music, okay, based on the Hiram Abiff narrative. So it's called La Reina de Saba. So La Reina de Saba is a grand opera in 4 or 5 acts by Charles Gounod to a libretto by Jules Barbier and Michel Carré, inspired by this particular art piece that's in The Voyage in Orient. Okay, so this premiered in the Paris Opera on February 28th. Are you ready for the year? Can you all guess? It's 1862. So the 1800s again, the 18 to 1800s, always with the 8. So this was one of the stars, this woman on the far right. She was the, queen of the morning, as they say, or Balkis, or the queen of Sheba. So she was the one that played the part, and I'm trying to get you her name. So her name, I cannot find her name. You will bear with me. If I find it, I will update you. And does anybody know what this is right here? Anybody up on their music? We just talked about an opera, but this wouldn't fit with that type of description. But does anybody know what this is? Hey, Golden Crisp, again, you said you can tell how life is going by the pictures. Our error smiles now, right? There you go. Johnny knows his music. It is Kanye West and Jay-Z, and it's called Watch the Throne. So this is what they use for the, as they call the album art for Watch the Throne. Not sure why this was chosen. I didn't take time to break it down, but Dana says it looks like a ceiling tile. It does, Dana. It does look like that. So it's the Watch the Throne. So you got these goobers, okay? These goobers here. And everything is symbolic, down to the colors that they choose to wear, their hand signals. They got to do all this stuff. It's part of their religion. They take it serious. You may think that we're a bunch of conspiracy people, but this is something that they take serious. Look at the t-shirts that each one of them is wearing, and it's always something symbolic going on. So just to make that point. And I've been talking about Game of Thrones. I haven't watched the series. You all said it's probably worth a view. I'm not sure if I could do it, but for the ones that have seen Game of Thrones, this is what this whole thing seems like to me. Is that this is a big race to have the best throne, the most power and control in this casino royale. We've heard that this is a big game theory, right? And Game of Thrones is what I think of when I start looking at the ascension to power and to various thrones. There has to be a lot of infighting that goes on in the ascension and the campaigning for the ascension if it's not a clear-cut bloodline type of thing. And a lot of times they create bloodlines by marrying within their families. We've heard of that. So this is very serious to these people. So I want to talk about some father-son relationships, because this is something that comes up when you talk about, again, David and Solomon. David, what he did to obtain Bathsheba, who some say is the Queen of Sheba. And some believe that he actually killed his son. That was one of his sons, Uriah, because this man had children all over the place, okay? So if Uriah was one of his sons and he put him on the front line to be killed so he could take his wife, you can only imagine the daddy issues running through this family, okay? So let's go back and review that we were looking at the movie Metropolis. And so when you look at a father and son, I was just thinking about the father and son type of thing. So you have Jaw and Fredersen in the movie Metropolis. So Jaw is like this heartless, cold master of industry, and his son Frieder had a heart for the people that were working and toiling all their lives underground so that the elite could live above ground in Metropolis, or Babylon, the Temple of Babel. And so I wanted to highlight and review this father-son relationship. And anybody watch this movie recently? Did anybody watch Metropolis, or do you recall? I know some people said they had to watch it for college classes. Tell me if you watched it after we talked about it. Anybody? Tina says Bathsheba wasn't the queen. You know what, Tina? I want to look into this more. It was just like a theory that was floating out there. Somebody said Bathsheba was Sheba, Queen of Sheba, basically. So I want to do more of, if you could help me like share some things with me, because I want to really do more, basically. You said you saw the first half, but haven't been able to finish it yet. It's very long, right, Dana? And to think that they said they cut that movie down, I can't even imagine. And I guess you could call this segment the Daddy Dearest segment. Does anybody know about Bing Crosby? Almost said Cosby. Bing Crosby. Anybody? So, if anybody isn't aware, Bing Crosby was said to have been a very, very strict father. I'll say a very, 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 very strict father. Yeah, he is known for White Christmas. Yes. So you saw it 2 years ago. Okay, so it's still kind of fresh in your mind, right? You saw it, Lori? So this is, like I said, I'm just naming this Daddy Dearest. So you have Bing. Then you have the fictional Lucius Lyons and his sons. And I believe they said that Lucius is based on, I guess they said it. Do you know who they based his character on? Because I've heard different things. Do you have any ideas? So let me just tell people about Lucius Lyon. Born Dwight Walker is a fictional character from the Fox drama series Empire, portrayed by Terrence Howard. Lucius is the main protagonist and anti-hero of the series, created by Lee Daniels. Lucius is the founder and CEO of Empire Entertainment, a world-famous and renowned record company that he runs with his family. Realizing he will need a successor after he is diagnosed with ALS, Lucius pits his three sons, you notice, pits his three sons, the college-educated executive, Andre Lyon, the talented and gay singer-songwriter, Jamal Lyon, who's played by Jussie Smollett, or Juicy Smoothie, and the youngest rapper, Hakeem Lyons, against one another. The story has parallels to William Shakespeare's King Lear and James Goldman's The Lion in Winter. Lyon is married to former drug dealer and ex-con Cookie Lyon. Okay? And it just goes on and on and on. More drama. And it is basically a soap opera, right? Opera being the name. And then we have Will Smith. Hate to say it. I know a lot of people hate to look at this right here. This is what I would call a slow-moving train wreck that is happening before our very eyes, okay? Will Smith has written a book. I don't know who has the book, but he's basically talking about things that I'm not sure why he's doing it, but it's always been whispered about him and the way that he lives his life, or whatever, the rumors, the type of marriage that he has. Lots of people said this stuff years ago, but now he's confirming these things and he wants to talk. But I think we're in a different place now where people are beginning to not like celebrities anymore. The stars are falling to the ground and their legacies are falling as well. If you notice, they're not as influential as they used to be. And it happened in 2020. It was a sudden, you could call it a reset for the people, where you realize you don't need all of the things that you thought you needed. So it actually hurt the cause of the other side. So you have Will Smith and you have the extra cringy behavior that he has exhibited over the years. And one of them, and I don't want to show the one where he's kissing the son on a British talk show. It was super cringe. You could feel that this boy's boundaries were being violated in front of our own eyes, where that could be a very innocent thing. It's no problem that a father kisses his son. That's not the issue. The issue is he did it in a way that seemed to violate his son. It was humiliating. Thank you. Hey, John. Exactly. And that's what, some people will attack us because they hold these people in such high regard still. They idolize them and they'll say, it's nothing wrong with Chrissy Teigen taking a bath with her kids and posting it on Instagram. They will argue on behalf of somebody like Chrissy Teigen doing it. That's not the problem. A mother taking a bath with her children. Nobody has a problem with that. But when it's Chrissy Teigen, yeah, we got a problem with it, okay? Yes. 60,000 tweets deleted. And we know, a lot of us know what kind of tweets they were. So this is what happened. It was a humiliation and it was a publicity stunt. And you said it hurt your heart. It was way creepy, right? So he's supposed to be this nice guy. So why would he do that to his son, right? Norleen, they jumped the shark. I mean, oh my goodness, they did. They totally jumped the shark. So anyway, the thing with Will, his marriage was like on Front Street right before the lockdown, wasn't it? It was a whole bunch of craziness. So he and his wife and his family are being exposed as being not what they presented to the public. And it's no big deal. People have been saying it, but they're confirming it, as well as a lot of other people. The narratives are they're just coming apart slowly. And so it apparently Will did this to his firstborn son too. The kissing and the having to have pictures taken. I mean, if you kiss your son on the cheek, no big deal. You love your son. But there's something that is just a little cringe-worthy about this that is not passing the smell test. So it's interesting. Let me take a little sip here. So it's interesting that you have Will Smith now playing another daddy. Think about a daddy, a really tough daddy. And it's just ironic that Will is playing Richard Williams. Has anyone seen this movie? This is the Daddy Dearest segment of this presentation. So you have Will playing one of the toughest daddies, man. I know one thing, we don't like the mainstream media, and Richard Williams doesn't like them either. So, when he cusses them out and, tells them where they could go, it is very funny, okay? Because he never took any crap off of them. Oh, you know it. I'm already looking at... Gemini says the kissing on the mouth is rumored to be a humiliation ritual. It's so sick, right? I see what you guys are putting in the chatmosphere. It never fails. We are in the strangest times. And yeah, of course he did it for his girls. It was nothing in it for him, right? He's proud of them. Of course, it was all about Venus and Serena. It had nothing to do with Richard. He sacrificed his life to make this dream come true for his daughters, right? Was this self-sacrificing? Let me know. How do you feel about it? And talk about somebody pushing a child so hard. When you think about a symbol, a sigil, a product, a brand, There is nothing more powerful than having that magical child that can make the big money for the family, right? This is the meal ticket. And this is, yes, the cha-ching. Hey, Libby, cha-ching. Bring in that money home to daddy, right? So she would be the ultimate product. And it's really sad, you know, because at the end of this, it turned out to be as fake as the stuff that they try to build today. So you think about Beyonce, and you think about her daddy dearest. His name is Matthew Knowles, and you know, I'm not going to cover her mother Tina right now, but we're doing daddy time right now. But you could just think of how he maneuvered behind the scenes to create this super successful daughter. And when you think about the connection now, we could tie back in that she played a form of Metropolis, the robot, the machine man. And by the way, the machine man is a gynoid. It's called a gynoid. So it doesn't have a particular gender, a gynoid. So she plays the gynoid machine men that is in the movie Metropolis. So I find that connection and, like I said, that tie back in to be pretty deep. And then you have, and you could vote for who you would say wins the Daddy Dearest contest. I know I say I don't like competition, but this would be a fun competition. Drop down there who you think wins Daddy Dearest out of these examples. So you have Joe Jackson, which many would say would probably win hands down, but I don't know. Hold the beer. Not sure. But you have Mama Jackson in the mix, you know, and you wonder sometimes what is the role of the mama bear over her cubs. And yeah, I won't go into that right now. I'd have to do some deeper research because, you know, it's been covered every which way, but I want to do it from this vantage point when I start to break down the other subjects and tie them back in. But you say Will Smith would win in your estimation. He would win the Daddy Dearest contest. Joe Jackson, hands down, right? You say Joe, you vote for Joe. Joe has evil eyebrows. Well, yeah, right. Lori says, I think Joe Jackson too, but you must have something better. I always try, right? I don't know if I could top Joe. Joe is something else. There's old Green Eyes himself. Look at that mustache he drew on. I just caught that, y'all, in his Gucci hat. Look at you. Joe. Oh my God. He was something else. He tried to hit on one of my friends in Vegas. Like, super creep, super like cringe what he told her. Horrible, okay? Horrible. So yeah, you got Joe. Old Green Eyes. And yeah, he didn't just have one star. He had a couple, I'd say, out of the whole crew there. But the one that was the breakout star, hands down, was Michael. And Michael was the one that they said would stand up to Joe. Whereas some people would think he would, you know, not be the one, but he was the one that stood up for his rights and fought back. And this is just something that I find to be similar to what I showed you with the Beyonce as the machine man. Well, Michael Jackson played the Scarecrow in a rendition, all black rendition called The Wiz. For those that know about The Wiz. So this was in the 70s and he plays the Scarecrow. And I don't know, when you think about that, it's similar to a robot, you know, somebody who's been MK Ultra, perhaps. Something that I was just thinking of. And then there's this daddy and me kind of collaboration. I don't know what to call it. This is just for some people who know a little bit on. Well, I just placed this there. No real commentary. Just want to see what you think. But yeah, then there's this. Johnny said, ease on down the road. That's right. Ease on down the You all know your references. Hey there, Love, Laugh, Live with Stephanie Mills. There you are. Right, Chris? I'm just saying. Then you have this. This is something here. Okay. Too much to get into. Then you have this. For those that are subscribers to Paul Romano, oh my goodness. He is, you know, I love him just like I love Salty Cracker. Paul Romano is, he could just talk and I would listen. He could talk about anything. He's just so funny to me and I love his voice. What I love the most is when he cracks himself up. That is one of the funniest things that I love, is when someone cracks themselves up. And he does that. He'll just be giggling. I'm going to play a little bit of Paul Romano in a minute so we could have like something funny to go out on. So you got crazy Alec Baldwin here. And this is him with one of his daughters. And Alec Baldwin is one of these people that Paul Romano loves to talk about lately. And it's so funny, okay? And what he does is he is showing us, and it's very important that we see that the matrix has to unravel in this way. And one of the most powerful weapons against them is to mock them. And I know that may seem mean, but mocking and ridiculing them is one of the most effective, you could say, an offense, okay, and a defense. And the reason why people like Salty Cracker, JP Sears, Paul Romano, why they are doing such an important thing is they're showing the absolute farce of it all. And they're doing it through meme, through the power of meme. And one of the things that the evil ones hate the most is to be mocked and ridiculed, because that's what they do to subdue their enemies. So when it's turned on them, they can't handle it. It's like a bully in a playground. They can't handle it when it comes back at them. That's why the legacy of people like Will Smith, of any of them, Kanye, you have Alec Baldwin, he and his wife, he has this wife that she's feigning a Spanish accent and she's not. She's from Boston, like doesn't have that ethnicity whatsoever. She's a faker and she's going through a lot of problems right now because she wanted to marry him to live the movie star life. She really wanted fame herself. And Alec Baldwin is unraveling as we speak. So the more they talk to the press, you heard about his horrible interview that he had after he shot the director. So this guy is coming apart, just like every other celebrity. This whole thing is just, it's not sustainable. So this is, you can look at the body language, and you heard about him cursing his daughter out that time on the phone. He called her a pig. I mean, he's very abusive, horrible person. And you could just look at the, like I said, look at the body language. This little girl looks like she's horrified. I don't know, when she has to do daddy visit time, I don't know what it must have been like to be around this guy, right? Totally cray, right? Donna, a cray man. Oh, is he really? He's on Alex's case. Yeah, I bet he is. The wheels already flew off Alec. They sure did. They sure did. Absolutely. And, this is him with the daughter. I mean, and now I look at him and I see some different things. I used to like him on 30 Rock, when I was into watching television, and I just really thought he had a funny way of playing that character. So, when you think about his personal life, it's just a train wreck, complete train wreck. And I don't know, some people may say that he runs a close second with whoever you would say would be your first daddy dearest. But I think he may be some people's first daddy. He would be the first to win the daddy dearest, right? Yes, Libby, false idols are going down. They sure are. So, yeah, Jamie Spears is probably gonna win, I would say, this decade, if you want to say that. But John said at some point someone in the family has to stop the cycle of abuse. Yes, absolutely. Totally agree. And you just look at this picture and it's just horrible. You feel so bad for Brittany. And I know that, she's won some battles, but I don't know, for those that follow her Instagram, it just seems like she's just not well. And she needs to be healed of the trauma. And, you just wonder, how would that really happen? The year of reckoning. Exactly. Yeah, I thought so too, but he was just so obvious. I didn't throw him in the pot there this time. We will have more time for him. And so, you think about daddies, and then we have, again, we're kind of tying back into coming to America. So you have the daddy and son kind of situation. And the ultimate daddy and son thing would be Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader, right? And then we tie back in and you have the voice of Darth Vader being the character that played the father in coming to America. So it's just a lot of tie-ins that are very, very unique. And so, again, this goes back to the whole legend of Hiram Abiff and the Temple of Solomon. And is there a secret? Is there secret knowledge? Is that something that should only be held within a certain group? And let me think of some of my notes. I wanted to make a point of some of this. Let's go, Brandon. James Earl Jones. Yes, he was the voice for Darth Vader. So it was something that dawned on me, that this just seems like a whole lot of turf war, like gang wars. So, when we talk about the cabal, and it's just this loose term, nebulous term, the cabal, I can see now that it's broken down into so many factions. And again, this race to the top of the pyramid, this race to obtain all kinds of secret, mysterious knowledge. And you have sons that are trying to kill the fathers to get the knowledge and to get the power and control to ascend to the throne. So basically, when you have the builders of society vying for this, ascension, they don't get along, is what I'm starting to imagine. There's so much infighting, and that's why they're imploding, because there's a lot of infighting. They don't trust each other. They only are united so that they can win the game, the casino royale. But basically, they don't trust each other. There's nothing good that is inherent in their schemes. So basically, I started to see that this whole thing, in terms of wait a minute, these plots and this whole temple thing, I'm starting to think that there is no third temple that's going to be built. Okay. This is just me. My thinking right now is because we have to understand, what is this temple for God? I can recall reading that God doesn't dwell in temples. He doesn't need temples. And this is just a thing that we're into. So if there is no third temple to be built, then where's the first and second temple? I know they say that on the Temple Mount was one of the temples, the second temple, what's left of it. But I'm just wondering, because the maps are wrong and the timelines are wrong, could the temple have been in another place in the world realm? Could it have been somewhere else? I'm just saying. No, he doesn't need temples. And so they are so obsessed with temples, and they are obsessed with reaching into the heavens with the things that they build. But they can't compete with Abba, the daddy. And that's the whole thing that I started to see, that this Hiram Abiff, this name is basically taken from the word Abba, which means father. So help me, everybody, to put this together, because I was starting to see this. I'm like, okay, so Hiram Abba, because the Abiff was just like a way of saying Abba. So that's father, that's daddy, which equals master. So it's like the master builder, right? And let me go to something right now. Let me stop my screen for a minute. Hey there. Let's pretend that we want to be an architect. We want to go to architecture school. So I was wondering, what is the top architectural school? Does anybody know? They want to throw in the chatmosphere. If you wanted to study architecture, what school would you go to? What would be like one of the best schools to go to? Because guess what? When I looked it up, a school called Rice University comes up as the best school to attend if you want to go to architectural school. I would love to be able to call this school like on a live stream and ask them a few questions when it comes to building structures that could compare to older structures. I'd love to hear from an architect and hear how they would explain, why can't we see structures like that go up anymore? We know about the money but I'm just saying I would love to talk about these kind of issues. So let me kind of go through and look at, okay, if you went to Rice University and this is their School of Architecture. So let's just look at the School of Architecture, which I would have to stop the screen and go to the new. It doesn't do it live where it follows the page. So, okay, can you see this? So this is the architectural. Let's see, is this the course work? I want to look at the current courses. Let's see if it opens up right here. Okay, so if we were to do some studies, your first year in an architectural program, you would learn principles of architecture, intermediate problems. I'm just skipping through arch. Okay, so arch is very important in Masonic stuff as well. Okay, so we're going to talk about the arch degree and all of this stuff and break it down and try to see what is going on here. These people that consider themselves the controllers, the architects of our society, to me, it seems like all they're building is like a fake infrastructure because they can't compete with the old world and the technology. So all of their stuff is about dystopian control of human beings and turning humans into robots, basically. So that doesn't seem like it's going to be a good and beautiful outcome for them. But I just wanted to just show, this is the kind of stuff that you would learn in architectural school. So they learn about problems, core design, different topics, cities, case studies, urban housing, things that are pliable, evolving cityscape, identity politics and design. Are you guys serious? They have identity technology. Wait a minute. I have to see what in the heck. Why would identity politics be an issue at an architectural school? Okay. I'm going to read this, everybody. Okay. So I have a feeling that architectural education has just jumped the shark. Mind you, they say this is the best program out there. Arch 650. Identity Politics and Design. Nathan Friedman. Mondays at 6:30 to 9 p.m. Room to be announced. How can design reflect social and political values? And how might an external environment inform an image of oneself? This seminar takes the term identity politics, founded in the second wave Black feminist movement of the 1970s, as an entry point to explore these questions and introduce a growing number of contemporary design practices that frame their work through identity, community engagement, and political activism. Through the study of theoretical text and reference projects, as well as student-led design exercises, the course engages the fields of architecture and design as a means to give form to populations outside of the dominant cultural narratives. Are you freaking kidding me? Well, no wonder they can't build great things anymore. They're worried about identity politics in architecture school. That answered my question. I'm pretty much done. Okay, there you are, people. There you are. What does that have to do with architecture? Can anybody answer? her question? Because I have no answers for that question. I'm shocked and chagrined. Wow. Okay. Jump the shark. You're paying millions of dollars to send your kid to architecture school. What ism does your building represent? Yeah, before you walk in, you have to know the building goes by these pronouns. And what else do we need to know? And it's a strong Black woman, this building, okay? What in the world, people? This is what happens. What did we hear? Everything woke turns to what? Everything woke turns to what? Oh my goodness. Nothing. Right? What the heck? How do we come back from this craziness? Sheila asked. You guys, right? You guys are so funny. I'm just saying, like, I didn't see that the first time I was looking at it. I didn't know that they went woke in an architecture program. Okay. Goodness. So let me just share something quickly about a time capsule that was found recently. Has anybody heard about this time capsule they found in Virginia? And they opened it up. It was made from, I think, copper, and it had a lot of books and things in it. And it was just interesting to watch them going through everything very carefully. Did you hear about that time capsule? It was put in the cornerstone of one of the monuments that they took down. Remember, they went through the whole thing, taking down the monuments. So this was Stonewall Jackson. His monument, the corner of the monument had the time capsule. You said you're in Virginia and you hadn't heard of it. Penny Lane said, I'm in Virginia and haven't heard of it. I'll tell you about it, okay? So we'll talk about it a little bit. So Darius had a time capsule that, oh my goodness, Darius had the lion imagery, and you can look at this time capsule that is etched in metal. So when you talk about receipts, that's a strong one. And let me just go back to that because I'm going to talk about, let me stop my screen a bit. We're going to hang out a little bit late. Why not? They tend to go a little bit later. Okay, so let's see. For those that didn't know it, was it the Robert E. Lee? Is that the one it was? Okay, let me go to this. 1 minute. There. Okay. Here it is. Share my article. So time capsule. Has anybody ever watched a time capsule being opened up? Because that was my first time. I heard about them, but had never seen one opened up. So this was on December 28th. But they did a live stream to show it the other day. I believe, no, I didn't watch it live, or did I? I can't remember. I'll have to look. What the famed 1887, so 1800s again, Virginia time capsule hidden in a Robert E. Lee statue reveals. Items were carefully removed by historians during a live stream event. Historians on Tuesday cut into a 36-pound copper time capsule containing items over 130 years old and found in the pedestal of a monument to former Confederate General Robert E. Lee in Richmond, Virginia. So they cut into the metal and begin delicately pulling the items out, live streamed on Governor Ralph Northrup's social media pages. So these are the women. It was really a group of women. And one of the things that I didn't like about it is that if you see the woman helping the woman, well, the woman in gray. Everybody had their various specialties. Like some people worked in museums and they were all called together to be part of the team, because you have document people, you have people that do things. It's just really very tedious job. But the woman in black who's right next to the woman in gray, one of the things that I didn't like about her is that she made light of everything. That, like, she said, oh, like it was no big deal, this time capsule. She's seen plenty of them and it just had books in there. She just seemed really dismissive of the history. And she also said something really funny, that they got a bomb. Well, this wasn't funny, but she said because they didn't trust the newspapers to tell the truth about what was in it, they had to have a bomb squad come and, do a clearing to see if anything was explosive in there. So it was funny that she said they couldn't trust the newspapers back then, 130 years ago, but she seemed like a person who totally trusts the newspapers today. So I just found her to be, yeah, you watched it. You watched it. John said she was rude. I thought she was too. She was really dismissive, wasn't she? And condescending. But, it just seems like as the generations, kind of go, they stop respecting history. And she was like the embodiment of that. She didn't respect the things that she was actually looking at. And I didn't, they were wearing jeans and very casual. And I guess that's the kind of job. But I'm just thinking, if you're going to be filmed that day, I would just think that maybe everybody didn't wear jeans that day, because it just shows the lack of decorum that we have. As they say that we are progressing and we're evolving. But if you look at people 130 years ago, they carried themselves in a certain way. They dressed a certain way. You know what I'm saying? So she said Karen opened it. And you know what? I have to say, I feel so bad for people named Karen. Like, our Karen, we love my beautiful Harlem Sentinels named Karen. But I know she doesn't take offense to the Karen thing, but it's just so funny how this has taken a life of its own, the whole Karen meme. And it's just funny. So a Karen opened it. So basically what they found is it contained relics, including what appeared to be Confederate money, 12 copper coins, an edition of Harper's Weekly from 1865, military memorabilia, multiple books, including directories and a Holy Bible, a carved wood flag, and Masonic symbol that some believe was carved from the tree that grew above General Stonewall Jackson's original grave. Before the box was opened, it was x-rayed by a local bomb squad. During the big reveal, Ridgway pulled out what she believed to be a fragment of a shell from the Battle of Fredericksburg. So if you want to look that up, it was interesting. Okay. So that was, she said a Karen opened it. You know what? Since you said the Karen thing, let's look up what's the meaning of the name Karen. Like, I just want to I looked it up real quick. I was like, okay, let's see, what does Karen mean? Is our Karen here? Karen, we're sorry that they use your name this way and for all other Karens. But do you guys find it funny? If they did that with my name, I don't know, I'd be kind of laughing, because I just think it's all funny. But I kind of still feel bad for people named Karen. Okay, so Karen, let's look at Karen. Let's kick the wiki on Karen, the name. Okay, so the Karen name. The Karen people, it says. The Karen, also known as Kayan, Karyang, Kathulis. It is a ethno-linguistic group of Sino-Tibetan language speaking peoples. So it is, they show this on Wiki, the Karen people. Myanmar. Oh, interesting. I bet that's going to be a thing that I come back to one day. What are you all saying? They have their own tribe. Oh my gosh. That's so super funny. Okay, so let me go back to the slides and get my thoughts together. Okay, so Darius had a time capsule as well. So I just want to show you that time capsule that was current. And when we talk about the whole thing with the daddy issue thing, wanted to bring up and see what you all think about this. You know, I brought his picture up because of the whole mandala, the Mandela. Can anybody tell me how they remember this line from Star Wars? The Money Honey says, I've gotten Debbie Downer my whole life so the Karens can take the heat for a while. That is funny. I love it. The Karens are taking the heat off of a lot of people for a while. Mandalorian. I haven't seen that yet, Dana. Do you think I should watch it? Because I'm kind of wondering, is this going to tie in with some things, right? I don't know. But how do you all remember this being said? Do you remember it as Luke, I am your father? How many people remember it that way? Sean remembers Luke, I am your father. Is that correct? Is it Luke, I am your father? Or is it, no, I am your father? Which one is it, people? Let me know. How do you remember it? Golden Crisp says, you remember Luke, I am your father? Hey, DeWolf says 100% CERN. How do you remember it? Luke, I am your father, or no, I am your father? Which way does it go? And let me make sure I have all of my... Oh, another thing, I just want to tie up things that I might have forgotten. One of the things about Hiram Abiff, okay, so you have the King Hiram. So you can read that in the Chronicles, the King of Tyre. He sent building materials and a workforce for the construction of the temple in Jerusalem. It was King Solomon he sent a formal request to King Hiram. And then you have Hiram, the son of a widow. So he was the son of a widow. So that kind of halfway orphaned him, right? So we always think about like this whole orphan narrative. So you have Hiram, the son of an orphan, and his father was a bronze worker. And he also he was very skillful and endowed with understanding. So when you think of Hiram having a father who died, who had these kind of skills, what do you think he learned from a father that had such skills? That means he learned the things that his father knew. Back then, that's what would happen. A father would bestow skills and knowledge to his son. So Hiram's father was skilled in gold, silver, bronze, iron, stone, wood, purple, blue, fine linen, crimson, engraving. So the stonemasons were not just skilled in one area. The architects were not just skilled in one area. They knew many things, and they had that going through their lineage. Their sons would learn these skills. Okay, so it's like, I got it from my daddy. And that's how fathers should be. They impart to their sons, to their children, always a way that they won't be enslaved by a harsh taskmaster. That's what I believe fatherhood, if it's in the proper alignment with Abba, the Father. So this is what I got from the story and the mythology of Hiram, the skilled worker, Hiram Abiff, Hiram Abba, father. So it's just interesting. Another thing I want to say is that when we were talking about the empress, remember the Ethiopian empress, that I'll go into her story a little bit more, but she married, badly, and she had to, be divorced, but she could always go back to Addis Ababa, to her father's place, and he ran an empire. So she always had a place to go, and she worked for her father. So when a father has that alignment, like an Abba father, he'll always have an empire for his children. Even his prodigal children can go out and try on the world and want to work for someone else and make someone else rich, right? So if they get tired of that, their dad always has a place for them. And so I just wanted to say that was something that I picked up from the story of the empress. When she left a bad marriage, she came back to her father, who provided for her, provided a place to live, provided her something to do. So I just want to state that if we ran our families and societies that way, our loved ones, especially our children, would not be taken advantage of and used as slave labor, and our daughters wouldn't be in a situation stuck, right? So I just wanted to share that, and I'm just really amazed at how much I'm seeing that this world, and the way that the builders of this world, these architects that build on, things that aren't good, it's nothing but vanity. All of it at the end of the day is vanity. If they have, gained the world and lost their soul, they did it for vanity. In the end, it was a bad contract. And that's the thing about coming back to Abba Father. And I want to say this as maybe a call to action for anybody who has, maybe you've taken, some oaths to the stonemasons and the builders of this fake reality, and you feel stuck. You feel like you got a bad deal. You entered into a bad contract. I personally don't believe that many people are beyond the reach of Abba, the Father. I don't believe you have gone too far. That's between you and Abba, the Father, but he has the best legal team. He's got a dream team for you, for any of us, and he could get you out of your contract, okay? Because a lot of people have been deceived. into making contracts and oaths and things that you may have been scared that you will be killed like a Hiram Abiff. You will be, all these bad things. They use nothing but fear of death and all these things to humiliate and keep people under control. But I believe, and this is my believer, I believe it. It's just my belief in the power of Abba, the Father, the real Father. He can deliver anyone. Okay? I just believe that. Some people, they may feel they went too far and done something unpardonable, but I just say you go to the Father, run to the Father. This is the time to do it, everyone. If you've made your oaths and your contracts and all this stuff and you're starting to see it unravel, it's because we're in the time of the apocalypse. Okay, make sure you made the right decision, the right Abba, the right architect, the grand architect, the real one. Okay, so I just want to say that there is hope for you. Okay, there is hope for you, and there's no need to be afraid. Okay, no need to be afraid. So I just want to share that. And what did you all say in terms of, is it Luke, I am your father? Or is it, no, I am your father? What are you all saying? What are you saying? I was going to play a little bit of Paul Romano, but I decided I'll do that at another time. He was just so funny today. I'd have to line it up. You say it's Luke, I am your father. Penny Lane says, Luke, I am your father. All right. Oh, another thing that was funny that I picked up from my research. Okay, so when they build the buildings and people chisel their names in it, sometimes that was an act of hijacking a structure and chiseling your name. And in some families, you say things and you don't understand the origin of it, because we use a lot of Masonic. Oh, look at the lioness. Hello. Yes. We use Masonic terminology and we don't realize it when we say you're giving a person the third degree. You know what I'm saying? The third degree. And that's what we just talked about. The Hiram Abiff ritual is the third degree. And what was it that, when someone takes over a structure that they didn't build and they chisel their name in it, that's the ultimate form of like identity theft. And they call the person a chiseler. Have you ever heard that term, a chiseler? That's something that is said in my family a lot. Like, I think my grandmother used to use it a lot. If you did something, she would say, you little chiseler. Like if you went into her cookie jar maybe and you weren't allowed, you little chiseler. So have you heard that term, a chiseler? You've heard it? Chiseled? Oh, graffiti is a form of chiseling, tagging. That's deep. You were just reading this? Really, Rita? Wow. So you've heard it too? There are so many forgotten memories. Yes. PH Joy, amen to faith. I finally understand that, but hope that's another thing and hard to come by. Cookie jar, which was a sewing kit. Yes, right? Oh my goodness. Yes. So that's it for this presentation. I think I covered a lot of the things I wanted to deal with. And it was something that someone sent me that struck me really powerfully, and I'll deal with this at another time, is that a lot of us, we don't realize that our society doesn't need government the way that we've been under a government. If energy was open sourced and things like that, we wouldn't need the form of government that we have at this moment. We could use a lighter form of just, I don't know if you have words for it, because I can't put it quite in words, but we don't need to be governed, okay, the way that it has been happening. So what I heard and took away from this one particular podcast was that government is the most prolific artificial womb. Artificial womb. And I took that was one of my takeaways, because artificial wombs are things that we find in so many places. It's like we come out of the womb and we want to find a womb. We want to find a place that's safe and warm and comfortable and loving, nurturing. So we all find wombs in different places. Well, some of us find a womb in government. And it's like we empower people to do things that we don't want to do for ourselves, for our family. We empower a bunch of people we don't know and give them money and govern us. DeWolf said, govern is control and ment is your mind. Exactly. Thanks for sharing that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you all. Hey, Amy, the SD realtor. What about the lies about gematria? Oh, Amy, I don't get into gematria, so I don't really know too much about. I just know surface when it comes to gematria. I know some people know it more, but I don't really know it as much. But yeah, thanks for stopping by. So that's it for today, and I would love for you all to come back soon. I may have another live stream tomorrow, but I will give you fair warning. I love the nighttime because some people that are overseas, they can catch a later one. So thanks for being willing to stay up with me. Okay. So again, if you would like to tip your hostess, that is where you can do it. And I'll read some of your comments on the way out. Did Karen ever show up? Hope she's not mad at me. I hope she's not. Hi, John. Good night, fellow Bobcat. Love you too, Julie. Bye. Good night, Gemini love. Much love for 420 Wild Dragon. Cheers. Night, Allison. Peace, amigos. Toodles.